there and welcome back to Don't Open That Door. Come along with our triumvirate of terror as we descend into darkness, hurtle into horror, and plunge into peril. If you like antique goods, you're in the right place. I'm Justin, and I've never sit in an old wooden chair in my whole life.
Stop the lies. I absolutely know that's false.
Yeah, you liar.
I'm Nico, and I've been known to have a second psychotic personality inside myself that kind of takes over and ruins furniture from time to time.
Oh. Well, I'm Dan, and Justin is definitely a liar because I have an old wooden chair that I found on the side of the road that he sat in.
Damn. Okay.
Well,
Coming with
we're
receipts.
we're here today to review The Chair 2023 from the channel That's a Bad Idea. No, literally, that's the channel on YouTube. Check it out. This was written and directed by Kari Barker, starring Anthony Pavone as Reese, Haley Schwartz as Julie, and Jonathan Cripple as Old Man Franklin. So we open with Reese, a young man who picks up a chair from the side of the road and brings it home. His girlfriend, Julie, says that she finds it to be pretty creepy and she doesn't like it. He sits down in the chair and they begin to argue, when all of a sudden we get a sudden cut and Reese finds himself sitting down in the chair back where he first found it. Freaked out, he drives home. Soon after he gets home, Julie arrives, bringing the chair with her. This disturbs Reese greatly, and things get worse when Julie tells him about things that he just can't remember. And he realizes that he has no recollection of the last week.
It's been.
Well, this sometimes happens to my guy Nico. So Nico, what happens next?
So that night, Reese sees an old man named Old Man Franklin in the chair, and Julie screams before abruptly going to sleep like nothing happened. The following morning, things take an even more chaotic turn when Julie begins having extreme personality swaps from friendly to wildly aggressive and even telling Reese that he has Alzheimer's and that he's dying. She leaves him alone, and so naturally she decides that, you know what I'm going to do right now? I'm going to play sort of finger DJ with myself loud as fuck upstairs. And Reese discovers a dead body just like immediately after. And then, guess what? Ding dong, it's the fucking cops. They're at your door. Oh no.
Dan,
What would you do? That's the... I know I'm beating you to this, but literally what would you do?
Well, Dan and I have woken up one morning to find SWAT in our front yard. So Dan,
We did.
Yo, for real?
Yeah.
tell me this. What happens next?
So Reese quickly hides the body, as you do, and the cops begin to interrogate him and look around the house. Reese moves the body to avoid detection, but one of the cops begins to act more erratically. Eventually, one of the cops shoots himself, and Julie shows up with the body, saying that she got him. There's another cut, and we see Reese in a dark room with all of the characters from the movie dead, sitting in chairs. Old Man Franklin shows up and tells Reese that the Lord is waiting for his first chair. The end.
I'm just imagining Franklin the Turtle, but with a cane.
Yeah.
Well, one thing that I did forget to mention when I told everyone where to find this movie, this is a horror short, meaning you can watch it. It's about 25 minutes long, I think, 25 minutes. So let's break it down. Looks. Dan, how does this movie look?
I like this a lot. I love the opening sequence. I thought it was really cool. And the screen camera focuses on just the chair sitting on the side of a road. And then from one side of the screen, you see a car back up and then, Reese kind of get out and you see Old Man Franklin in the background, blurry and everything because he's out of focus and just kind of standing there. I really, really liked it. And just right from the beginning, the cinematography just kind of captured me. There's a lot of really cool shots throughout the film. So I was a big fan.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Nico, how's this movie look?
Yeah, I think the thing that grabbed me the most was definitely the cinematography, like Dan was saying. One thing that I wanted to add to the scene that he was describing is that Old Man Franklin, I'm pretty sure we never actually see his face in that shot. So he just looks kind of decapitated by the camera and almost, dead in a sense, which is already kind of foreboding in and of itself, just whenever you have someone framed like that. But I also just really liked how erratic isn't the right word, but the very skillfully done quick cuts between the multiple personality outbursts that various characters had. Like, the cinematography reflected the wild feelings in those scenes, and I thought that was particularly well done.
Yeah, Nico, I agree with you totally. And one thing that I for sure think as well is the cuts I'm a really big fan of. Like the way that the scenes are framed and the way that the angles change. To me, that's something that I oftentimes have an issue with, like major studios. I feel like they can't get that right a lot of the time. And this, a more independent effort, I feel like they did it perfect. One thing I also just really, really liked is the cuts and the changes that we get from scene swaps. Normally in a movie, I'd be like, oh, like, what the fuck? These are super hard cuts.
Mhm.
But, and we'll talk about it a little bit more, I think they actually help reinforce the point of the movie. So, full marks there. Dan, how's this one sound?
I think it sounds pretty good too. There's a part where there's an interesting music part. It's some brass instruments, I think trombone, if I remember correctly. But it's not what you normally hear in a lot of horror movies, but it was kind of imposing and brooding, which I thought was really cool. I do think that some of the Foley was a little heavy-handed, which I do find that in a lot of indie films in general. I feel like Foley, they just kind of like crank up a lot. It wasn't, it was the right Foley. I just wish it was a few decibels less, but that's me being picky.
Were there any scenes that stood out with that? I'm curious.
The first couple minutes, I think.
Really?
Where they're
First
talking,
5
especially?
minutes or so. Yeah. When he like grabbed the chair, put the chair in footsteps to go back into the
Yeah.
car, gets home, and you hear a lot of the creaking of the chair. And
Yeah, it
even
was
the
pretty
door,
loud
you know.
now that you mention it. Yeah.
It was a bit much, but again, it was the right stuff. Just maybe a little less of it.
Nico, what was it sound like for you?
So I will echo some, well, actually all of the comments that Dan just said there, but I think that the soundtrack, perhaps minimal though it might have been, did a good enough job of imposing this anxiety onto both Reese and the watcher. So I think it accomplished its goal.
Mm-hmm. I cannot remember for the life of me the song that plays. There's like a song with like words, and I don't know why it like escapes me at the moment. It's like an old timey kind of song.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
But-
actually, it was Bubba Sparks' "Miss New Booty." Believe it or not, I have the video open up right here, and it has the credit. Warner Brothers Music, Bubba Sparks' "Miss New Booty." Source,
Okay.
trust me, bro.
On a side tangent, I actually was in the gym yesterday and I was working out, and the Together We Ride Fire Emblem Bubba Sparks Miss New Booty remix came on.
Hell yeah,
Hell yeah.
hell yeah.
So
Hell yeah.
that aside, back to the damn plot. I think one thing, we oftentimes group dialogue in here, and I really got to give credit to Julia
yeah,
because
she fucking killed it.
Mm-hmm.
the swaps in just dialogue and mannerism was fucking nuts. Like, there's really one part where she's like, I fucking hate you. I want to end this relationship. And he's like, I need help. And she's like, okay, that's cute. You're adorable. And I was like, it's my kind of toxic right there.
I was literally
But no.
just gonna say, you know who that reminds me of?
So, yeah, I mean, it's all good. It's all good. And dear listener,
I fucking
This
knew you would be into that. As soon as I watched it, I was just thinking to myself, Justin, the most Sigma of all males. He is destined to identify with this.
yeah, when I'm not on my grind set, I guess. But
You did mention that you were mewing and looks maxing, I think, last episode or some
You
bullshit.
did, yeah.
trying
Yeah.
my best, bro. So, dear listener, this episode is probably going to be a little shorter than normal because this is a short after all. But we're about to dive into the real meat and bones of this, which, if you
meat
haven't
and
seen this
bones.
movie, I highly encourage you to check it out. It's only like 24 minutes. And listen to this. You'll get a little more out of it, I think. So, Dan, I pose this question to you.
Okay.
what was really happening in this movie? Because this is really a chaotic, jumpy movie where we are unsure of anything, and then it just ends. So what's really going on?
That's a good question. Quick side note, I really enjoyed that. I liked the first, like, what the fuck kind of moment of when he's just like not even awakens, but scene shift to him outside on with the chair again, and then she comes home with the chair, and then they have a conversation, and like it's that was really cool. So I liked the confusion and the chaoticness of the film. But here's my take. There was a quick line, very brief line that she or somebody, maybe it was old man, I can't remember, says that Reese has Alzheimer's. For a while I was questioning whether he does or not. I do think he does have Alzheimer's. And I also think that Julie cheated on him.
I agree with that. I think I know why you're saying it, but keep going, sir.
So there's a few things. I think that old man Franklin is his grandfather.
Okay.
Because he also has a line, or no, Julie says when he's like, I like the chair, or I can't remember who says it, but he says it, Reese says it.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, it reminds me of my grandfather. So I think he has Alzheimer's, and a lot of these references and things that happen throughout the film are memories that he has that have kind of stuck with him, and he's trying to piece things together. So
That's fucking depressing. Holy shit.
yeah. But I mean, like with Julie cheating on him, I mean, we see when the two cops come, the one comes out of the bedroom and his pants are, he's just like buckling up his belt and his shirt's undone and everything. And that's the kind of area where she was in roughly.
Yeah.
When she comes home with the chair, he was supposed to have gone to get dinner. And she's like, oh, you're home early. This was supposed to be a surprise. But it didn't seem like it was like a surprise. To me, it felt like, hey, I'm keeping something behind the door because I don't want you to see this because it's probably our neighbor who I'm cheating on you with. That's how I kind of took that. And I believe that neighbor was the one that was Fence, I think his name was, who he killed. Yeah, those are some of my thoughts. Kind of rapid fire there, but
Damn.
Scattered, but yeah.
No, I mean, I entirely 100% agree with you. I think this was totally about Alzheimer's because in addition to everything you've said, which I agree 100% with, there's also the loss of time.
Yeah.
Because he just randomly loses time, doesn't understand it. He says like, hey, I think I need help. And he can't understand like why the people around him are doing what they're doing. Everything seems so unusual to him. And then she tells him like, you can't take things back just because like you can't remember them, or like just because you don't remember it doesn't mean, it didn't happen or something like that.
Right.
Because she said he was yelling at people and he was violent, which can happen to people with Alzheimer's. Like he's not all there sometimes. And that just made me think of that 100 billion, 50 billion% yes. And Dan, you're also right in that I think everything is a memory that's gone awry. And what we're seeing may not be what's happening in reality 100%, but it's his reality that we're seeing.
Damn, this really is Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories, huh?
Kind of, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing, too, that really stuck out to me is the ending scene where the dude's saying, the Lord or God is waiting for his first chair. In the chair, there's the flowers that he bought her initially as a surprise for like their 6-month anniversary. And he's like, yeah, here you go. And I would love to rewatch this because I think if I did, there'd be more I'd catch. But she didn't sound super, happy when she got the flowers. And I was like, oh, maybe that's just me. But looking back on it now, yeah. And also, yeah, she definitely, it's implied that I think she definitely fucked the cop. Whether or not that's the person she cheated on him with in reality is, I don't know.
I was just going to say that. I don't know that she fucked the cop, like in reality, but I think she cheated on him with somebody, and that was the interpretation or whatever.
Shit.
Absolutely. Because he comes out of that room because the moaning stops, and then he goes back in, and the moaning starts again. And then he walks out of it, and he's out of breath, like Dan said, buckling up his pants, like, you know what it is. Nico, let me ask you this. Did you have a different take to us, or did you also think Alzheimer's?
I'll be honest, I took it much more at face value that Julie was just kind of wilding out over here when they had people over just because she fucking hated him so much. Like, the Alzheimer's...
That's what I do when I hate people, bro.
I mean...
I just go rub one out, you know?
Look, man, I'm not gonna delve
Last
any
time I had
deeper.
company over, I really had to put up soundproofing in Dan's room.
That's why they call it company.
That's the name of the episode.
We can't.
That's why they call it company.
We can't.
Well done. Well done. Because, Nico, you went the traditional horror route. You even, for our notes here, dear listener, suggested it might have been a Dybbuk even. So what's your thought process?
Yeah, so Dybbuks are, for those not aware, and I might be oversimplifying this. I'm not terribly familiar with them. We've only seen, I think, maybe 1 or 2 movies with Dybbuks here on the pod, but my understanding is that Dybbuks are sort of possessed objects, particularly from Jewish folklore, I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
It's
they
Jewish, yeah.
they can, if you interact with them, sort of overtake your willpower with their own. And in noticing how just whenever someone interacted with it or shortly thereafter, they would change so dramatically, that was my sort of inclination. I didn't even really process that this was kind of about Alzheimer's until like you two started talking about it, I'll be honest. And this horror short makes me really sad now.
Yeah. I mean, that's... Oh, no. I feel like that's... To me, when I saw it, I felt that was pretty on the nose about the whole Alzheimer's thing. I didn't think about it until Julie said, "You're dying of Alzheimer's. You just don't know it."
Mm-hmm.
That was when it really occurred to me.
I thought it was really interesting because when she said that, I was like, oh shit, that's what this film is about. But then I was like, but is it? Or is that just something that she said, or he's is going crazy, you know, whatever. Yeah. And it reminded me, Justin, I don't know if you know, I don't know where this book is.
Is it
There's
in
a
the
book
box?
that I have. It's not in the box. What's in the box? It's not in the box. But it was a book that we had when we lived together.
Yeah.
And then when we moved out, you were like, it's not my book. And I was like, it's not my book. And neither of us know where this book came from. I don't know if you remember this at all. But I ended up reading the book. And it was a good book. But it was basically like this woman who...
I know what you're talking about. I know what you're talking about. Yeah. Dude,
Yeah.
who the fuck's book was that?
Yeah, I don't know.
I read that book and I was like, dude, this ain't my book though.
I know. I don't remember. After the podcast, I can find it. But...
She loses herself, and like it's a very
The music, the
unreliable.
moment.
No, it's a very unreliable narration,
Right.
basically.
But this film kind of reminded me of that. Not that they're at all similar, but
No.
just in the memory loss and like, because a big part of that book is gaslighting. Because I think her significant other is gaslighting her the whole
naturally
time.
Justin
But
would be into it.
of course,
Yeah,
it's got to be his book.
tips and tricks.
But wow. But, you know, while watching this film, sometimes I was thinking, like, is Julie gaslighting him, or does he have Alzheimer's? Does he not? I don't know. And I feel like that's also very, like, real, too. You know, I can't imagine not knowing what's going on and
Yeah.
losing your memory and things. So, like, I feel like, and even from Julie's perspective, you know, she was like, I think Justin mentioned this before, like, just because you don't remember doesn't give you an excuse to do it or whatever. And I feel like that line was very pertinent, I think, to people whose maybe loved ones have Alzheimer's.
Mhm.
And like, of course, you can't really blame somebody with Alzheimer's, but at the same time, like, what do you do? How are you supposed to deal with this? And how are, you know, they did these things, but you can't blame that. You know, it's a really difficult situation. So I really liked how the film approached that topic as well. Yeah, I don't even know if that was the purpose, but I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, for true. Now, I want to ask a question we often ask on this podcast. What kind of horror do you consider this? And I'm curious to see, particularly Nico, for his incorrect interpretation of what this movie was. What kind of horror do you think this is, Nico? I jest. There is no wrong answer.
Hey, it's possible that I just like completely swung for the fences and just missed entirely, which, I mean, it wouldn't be the first
You're
time.
probably right, actually. And it was like overthinking.
No, it's actually just a possessed chair.
Yeah.
Yeah. What if?
It's really, this is the
The curtains were fucking
wow.
blue.
No, this is the prequel to what's it?
Oculus?
No. Killer Sofa.
Oh, shit.
Yeah,
This
right?
is the origin story of Killer Sofa.
It
Murder
started
chair.
out as a stool and it became a sofa. By the end of the next movie, it'll be a fucking sectional.
Hey.
No sex in the sectional. TM.
Wow. So what kind of horror is this, Nico?
I don't fucking know, man. Like, you're over here spitting, like, philosophical lyricism akin to the likes of which we haven't seen in quite a while from a horror short. And it's just kind of got me a little fucked up. I'm not gonna lie. Like, it's accurate. I took it as a sort of, to call it possession would be not the most accurate, but like possession adjacent type kind of thing. I don't know what that word was. We're not going to talk about it.
All right, dear listener, if you ever played an RPG and your party member gets hit with confusion and you're like,
Hey.
well, what the fuck does that even look like in real life? That's an example right there. So now that we got that one,
You got me dead to rights there. Yeah.
so now that we got that one out of the way,
Failed
Dan,
my fucking wisdom save for sure.
what kind of horror is this, bro?
I think it's psychological horror.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's much more accurate now that I think about it.
I can't
For
really
like
think of
a
anything
second.
else. It would be.
Yeah, I agree. It is for sure psychological horror. And in my honest opinion, this is one of the strongest examples of psychological horror I feel like I've seen in a minute, just because this shit really takes you on a ride.
No MVC2 though.
Yeah. And I feel like one aspect of psychological horror that is almost necessary for a lot of it is like a little bit of mindfuckiness.
Yeah.
Like, it has to go in there and mess you up and make you unsteady, because I think, and this is just generally true for horror, I think overall, but standing on steady ground typically doesn't make for a very scary experience. I think the times where I really get scared are when I can't predict what's going to happen. I'm on unsteady ground. I'm so lost and I just have no choice but to accept what I'm seeing on the screen. And I think this short pretty effectively does it. And I got to ask, and Nico, I don't mean to pick on you, but I'm picking on you.
Sure.
What's
Okay.
your favorite scene in this one?
Man, I really thought the acting done by those two cop characters were really good. I think the frantic nature of that entire process between Reese trying to hurriedly hide the body and then things going from bad to worse so very quickly just felt it felt right for the movie.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Dan, that your favorite scene, or do you have a different one to pull out?
No, I mentioned it before, but my favorite was the intro. I just think it did a very good job of hooking me into it. And okay, so we have an award called Diamond in the Rough, right? And
Yes.
on our description of Diamond in the Rough, I think we say like indie films that punch above their weight or something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I think that opening scene punches above its weight class. Like I
agree.
watched that opening scene and I was like, damn, this feels like a major production. Just the vision, the like everything about it. And not that indie films can't have great cinematography or anything like that. Far from that. But it just felt, it felt more expensive than it was, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. For me, my favorite scene is actually different to everyone's. It's the one where she tells him, she's like, oh yeah, the chair comes with like old man Jenkins or whatever. And he's like, yo, what the fuck? And then Immediately after that, they're going to sleep. And then the old dude's in the chair and he freaks the fuck out. And then he looks over to her. She gets up, screams, and then abruptly stops and just goes back to sleep. And I was like, yo, what the fuck is going on right now, man?
Yeah.
Like that got to me. That got to me for real. So from here, we're going to dive into the what would you do? Now, this is one of those where I'm like, yo, what the fuck am I supposed to say for this part right here?
Yeah.
So I'll ask you this. What is the favorite thing in your life that you've ever gotten for free? An item. I don't mean like friendship. I mean like a material object that you've gotten for free. What's the favorite thing you've gotten for free?
When you say for free, are you referring to gifts, like a Christmas present too, or like?
Yeah, it can be a gift or it can be something you found, something that didn't cost anything to which you contributed no monetary value.
So I got this katana at a college party.
Bet.
How many times has that blade been folded?
I don't know, but it is a reverse blade. Would you fucking believe it?
Wow. Nico Kiri Batosai over here. Okay, fair enough.
I
fair
mean,
enough.
look, man, this guy, I think his name was Mike. He was just like really drunk and he wanted to show his appreciation and he just gave me a fucking sword, man.
And then you're like,
Wow.
okay, cool, I'm taking this home before you can change your mind.
100% yes.
All right, Dan, what's your free gift?
Man, that's hard. I'm going to say, this is kind of dumb, but when I was younger, like in late middle school, maybe, there was a cereal box competition thing that I sent in like a sweepstakes thing for. And I
Box
won
Tops
like
for
a little,
Education?
no, I don't remember what it was, but I won a little like Grinch keychain thing. And I was so happy because I never like win things like that before. And I don't have it anymore, you know, whatever, but just, I remember the feeling of like, oh man, like I never win anything. This is really cool. I'm sure I should probably have better answer to that question, but that's like the first thing that popped into my head.
Yo, similar for me. I'm sure there's another answer I could give, but when I was in college, like it was freshman or sophomore year, I think sophomore, I kind of realized that my birthday had never really been like super heavily celebrated and I didn't have a cake. Like I couldn't tell you before that when the last time I had a birthday cake was. Just family stuff and things going on in my life. Like I just couldn't tell you when last I had a birthday cake. And
You always have birthday cake with you.
whoa,
It's on your birthday suit.
whoa. And my girlfriend, you know, someone had told her that. I had said that to someone and someone told her that. So I went to my dorm room and I walk in and there's this just like gigantic strawberry cake because strawberry is my favorite flavor of cake. And there's this gigantic strawberry cake just fucking chilling there. And I'm like, yo, what the fuck? And like, it was her and Bonner and
She was the cake.
and the three of us ate that cake. And I just remember thinking like,
I don't want that. I don't want that. That's yellow card.
yellow card,
That's
actually.
yellow card.
That's yellow card.
And you know what? Especially did it for me?
What?
The Bonner part.
And I remember thinking to myself, you know, this cake doesn't taste great, but this is the best cake I've ever had. So that's the free thing to me. I think I would for sure, if I was going through what this guy was going through, I think that cake would pop up somewhere in my memory. It'd be like that cake, this haunted ass record that me and Dan got at one point.
I still have that video. Remember it ended and then it like would skip back and repeat.
Yeah.
I have a video of that too.
Freaky shit, bro. So now that we've all gotten that emotional shit out of the way, time for the review, the real review. What would you give this movie? Now, no Rotten Tomatoes here, but we do have IMDb. So we're just going to move the decimal point over by 1. So what do you think this has on IMDb?
I'm going to say 89.
Okay.
Just for the bit, I'm gonna say 69.
Nico wins.
Really?
God damn it, are you kidding?
This has a 6.8 out of 10, which is a
Wow.
68
Oh.
out of 100 on IMDb. But fuck the critics. What do you think, my fellow critics?
I'll start. I may have misunderstood this piece, folks.
Hey, it takes a big man to even say that. So go ahead, bro. Go ahead.
I'm definitely going to go back and watch this. I am someone who is, let's say, unfortunately familiar with the effects that dementia can have on people. And just like processing all of that has given this like a +5 for me. I really liked it. I'm not going to lie, after the first time, after the short ended, I was kind of just like, what? And I mean, I think that's fair considering how much I've now since learned through this episode, but I think this is really, really good. I'm going to give this an 88.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to give this one a 93. To me, I think this is what a lot of prestige horrors want to be. I think this makes a point. It doesn't stick around longer than it needs to. I think it's shot amazingly. I was unsteady. I really sincerely enjoyed this. I walked into this with no knowledge of anything outside of the fact that it was called The Chair. That's it. That's all I knew. And when I finished, I was like, yo, this is fucking spectacular. Like, well fucking done, man. And if I'm not mistaken, this is a comedy channel. When I saw one of the dudes, I recognized him from a bunch of YouTube shorts. So I'm like, yo, like, I know dude for comedy. So that's fucking nuts. Absolutely fucking nuts. But if Jordan Peele has shown us anything, it's that comedians know horror sometimes too.
Yeah.
So I say all that to say 93, good fucking job, lads.
I'm right there with you. I'm going to give it a 93 as well. I really, really liked it. I love the different perspectives, like I kind of mentioned before. I love the cinematography. And yeah, I think it was just super effective, very well written. The dialogue was awesome. Acting was incredible. I'm here for it. 93.
Yeah, and I will say real quick, we've all kind of mentioned it, but I want to like solidify. Yo, fucking shout out to Haley Schwartz. Yo, Julie was played fucking amazingly. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
that level of performance is something that I've literally even seen lacking in like major motion pictures. So I sincerely hope, I don't know what Haley's plans are as far as the film industry goes, but I really hope that if she wants a shot, she gets it, because that shit was fucking outstanding.
And that's
For real,
not
for
to
real.
take away from Anthony, because he killed it
No,
too. He killed
no,
it too.
not at all. Not at all. I was just really mesmerized by the character of Julie. That's why I say that. So we've all given our ratings here. So I'm going to say obvious recommend from all of us here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Golden Seal?
I think so. Yeah.
I'd say so.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Wow.
Wow.
That's the new Golden
It's
Seal
really,
sound.
really good. And like, that's coming from someone who, again, probably missed the forest for the trees here.
Hey, listen, sometimes keep this in mind, all right? The forest of your mind can cloud you from seeing the waterfalls within. So I ain't going to hold that against you, bro. I ain't going to hold that against you. Now, this has got the Golden
What?
Seal. We highly recommend this movie. Could not recommend it higher, in fact. And you can watch it for free. No excuses. Again, it's The Chair. It's a horror short. Came out in 2023. And you can check it out on the YouTube channel. That's a Bad Idea. You can look that up. Curry Barker, The Chair short 2023. It'll come up if you look for it. Definitely watch it, please. Like, if you like horror, support people like this, support projects like this, because it's fucking massive. It means a lot. And if you have any questions, want to discuss it with us, or let us know that Nico was right, there's nothing about Alzheimer's in this movie, and we didn't see, you know, that the chair actually sprouted devil horns and it was the devil the whole time,
I'm saying.
hit us up. We're on X and Instagram at DOTD Horror. We're on
The chair was actually
Facebook.
Pikachu.
Yeah, maybe. We're on Facebook. That's Don't Open That Door. Plus, you can check everything we've done on our website, which is dotdhorror.com. But till next time, maybe play some Sudoku, just in case.
What?
Um,
What? Just in case of what, Justin?
look out for one another.
No, I'm
And
not
as
letting you
always-
get away from this. What is the predicament?
I get you.
What?
Helps
No,
with
okay,
mental
what
alacrity.
the fuck are you two talking about?
Keeps your
And as always, dear listener, don't open that door.
I'm in hell.
Bye.